Hello everybody, it is Mr. Ensminger here with another video. This is our first video on for loops. I introduced for loops in class earlier this week, hopefully, whenever you're watching this. And so I showed you the ins and outs, what for loops are, and so now I want to show you some things you can do with them, some applications of for loops. Hopefully this isn't too much of a repeat of what I talked about in class, but we did some stuff with while loops. And while loops and for loops, they're both loops. They repeat code. The typical use of a while loop, though, is for something that's an indefinite number of steps, something that you don't know when it's going to stop. If I handed you a six-sided die and I said, here, roll this until you get a 6. You could get the first try, but you could get it 10 times, 20 times from now. You don't know. That's the idea. It's while the dice is not yet 6. Something that's a for loop would be me handing you a six-sided die and saying, here, roll this 5 times. You know it's exactly 5 times. It's not, maybe 4, maybe 6. No, it's definitively 5 times. So that's what we're going to do mostly with our for loops. And so let's just start with a basic for loop. We're just going to do for, and then let's just use n as our variable, in the range of 10. And again, this is likely some stuff we mentioned in class. If I print n, and just to quickly talk about this before we get too in depth, for loop applications, I get 0 through 9. It starts on 0. The range, if I go back to this, goes 0 to 9. It says go in a range of 10, meaning starting on 0, there are 10 numbers, 0 through 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it doesn't go up to 10. It goes from 0 to 9. In other words, there are 10 numbers. If I print them vertically like that, just print, goes up and down. I think I mentioned this earlier in the year, but now we're doing some stuff with loops. It bears repeating. If you want to print something on the same line, left to right, every time you write a print, this little pop-up comes up. You print the value, the separator, but then there's also this part that says end equals /n. And then there's file and flush. That has no meaning to what we're doing in high school computer science. But the end equals is kind of helpful. /n, just like /t tabs, it's a special character. It's called the escape character. /n is also one of those, and it goes to the next line down. So if I modify what the end equals, I can say something like this. I can say print n, comma, end equals quote, quote, which means literally nothing. Print nothing. Rather than printing a new line, print nothing. And now if I run it, it's going to print left to right with no spaces at all. If I want spaces, guess what I can do? I can put a space here. In other words, print n, and at the end of the line, instead of going to the next line down, you're printing a space. And now if I try that, numbers are left to right. Now, the only thing you have to be cautious of with this is when I come down here outside the loop, if I say print the next line, if I run this, the next line is still going to be at the end of the 9 because we printed 9 and we said, don't go on to the next line yet. So what we should do to be proper at the end of this loop is to print print a line by itself. Don't do it here because that's part of the loop. Do it back here. And so now if you do that, it will be on the next line because that's what it says. Magic. Okay, so what else? Well, again, you see here we're doing applications. That's not really an application. That's just, just the introduction to this. Let's say I want to add those numbers up. I want to total the numbers. Well, for n in range 10, instead of saying print the numbers, I need a total. I'm going to come up here before the loop, total equals nothing. And then inside the loop, we've said this line many times before. We've done it in while loops. There's no difference doing it in a for loop. Total equals total plus n. N is it's a loop counter. It's the LCV. It's the loop control variable or the loop counter variable it's going from 0 up to, but not including 10, so 0 to 9. So you're saying total is 0, add 0, so nothing. Add 1, add 2, add 3, and so you're accumulating that total, and when you print the total at the bottom, it's going to give you the total of the numbers from 0 to 9, which is 45. So that's one application, certainly, of this. What else could I do? Well, I could do average. I know how many numbers there are. The average is equal to total divided by, how many numbers are there? There's 10. If I include 0, there's 10 numbers. So because the total included a 0, that's perfectly okay. It's still part of the average. The average is 4.5. You have 10 numbers. The total is 45. 45 divided by 10 is, in fact, 4.5. Anywhere that you see a number, you can replace that with a variable. So I could do not just 10. I could do really any number I want. I could say, what should we pick for this? How about, max n. I don't want to use max. That's why I was trying to think of a separate variable, because max is a built-in command. Max n equals int input. Please enter the maximum number. Close, close. And then, let me do this exact same thing. Copy and paste. So I've reset my total to 0. Skip down a couple lines here. I've reset my total to 0, so I have a fresh start. And now, instead of a range of 10, go up to the maximum number that you typed in. Now, what else changes? Does this change? No, because n is still the variable here. Does the total change? No. Does that change? No. But does this change? Yes, because I'm no longer going up to 10 necessarily. I'm going to whatever I typed in. And now this gives me the option, if I want, of doing hundreds. 49.5, for example. Now, what if you don't want to do the numbers sequentially? What if you don't want to do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? What if you want to do whatever you type in? But let's say, unlike a while loop where we'd say, type in the numbers until we type in 0 or until we type in -1. What if in this one we just want to add up 5 numbers that we type in? Rather than doing 5 variables, I could say, again, total equals 0. But this one, for n in range, how many numbers do I want? 5. Total equals total plus, not n this time. Let me back up. Num equals, let me type in a number. Enter a number. Total equals total plus whatever I type in, not n, because n is a sequential number, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm adding up the number I'm typing in. And when I'm done, I can say print the total of your numbers is, and then you can put comma total, and print the average of your numbers is total divided by 5. Because again, we specified that there's exactly 5 numbers. So it's a definite loop. I'm saying specifically do 5 numbers. And as you'll see in class, we can modify the range. Instead of going from 0 to something, we can go from 1. If we want to go from 1 to 10, we can say in a range of 1 to 10. But when you're doing a count like this, 0 is still a number. It's not like 0 messes us up, because whether I start on 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm still doing 5 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm still doing 5 numbers. Well, same thing here. I can just say the range of 5. And so with these applications, you're still using a for loop. You're still using everything you've learned. You're still doing accumulation with counts and with totals. You're still doing the math. And it's just a matter of, these are slightly different problems than the while loop problems, because it's a matter of, well, now you know exactly how many there's going to be. In this case, 5. In the previous case, whatever you typed in. So, more to come. Thanks for watching.